Hello students, welcome to our online video tutorial class. In the previous video, I think you have seen we have completed up to the Hydrophilus as well as Anemophilus flower, because we were actually discussing about the types of pollinating agents in different flowers, and within that we have already discussed about that abiotic components which are actually helping in the pollination process. And after these two abiotic components, there are 4 to 5 total biotic components are there which are actually helping in the pollination process. And based on the type of agents, different types of pollination procedure as well as different types of pollinating flowers, they are actually categorized properly. So first we can see here under the biotic components, first is coming insects. If the insects are actually helping in the pollination process, on that time it is commonly known as entomophilous flower, and the process of pollination is known as entomophily. If any flower is pollinated by the help of birds, on that time that pollination is known as ornithophily, and the flowers are known as ornithophilous flower. If it is found that any of the flower is getting pollinated by the bats, on that time that type of pollination is known as chiropterophily, and the flowers are known as chiropterophilous flower. Malacophily is such kind of pollination where malacos, that means mollusk organisms, are helping in the pollination process, then it is known as malacophily. And those flowers which are get pollinated by these malacos or mollusk organisms, those are known as malacophilous flower. Next you can see myrmecophily. Myrmecophily is another type of pollination where ants are actually responsible for the pollination of the flower, and in this type of pollination of the flower you have seen that these kind of flowers are commonly known as myrmecophilous flower. So these specific portions up to that we have just discussed. So after this slide we have also discussed about the features which are present commonly in case of anemophilous flower as well as hydrophilous flower, or you can say rather how the anemophily pollination can happen and how the hydrophily pollination can happen. So today we will be discussing about how the entomophily, ornithophily, chiropterophily and malacophily can happen. So let's see. Here is the first slide for in this video. First one, you can see entomophilous features. Entomophilous features means the entomophilous flower features. Obviously you can see here that which of the flowers are getting pollinated by the help of insects. Obviously those flowers will be larger in size. Flowers should be colorful, otherwise it can't attract the insects for their pollination. Flowers are having nectar, because for these nectars only those various kind of insects are coming to the flower. So if the nectars are not present, obviously insects will not come. Pollen grains are also containing the pollen kit. Pollen kit is that sticky substance which is present on the surface of exine layer of the pollen grain, and due to presence of this pollen kit only, the pollen grains can be attached to the surface of the body surface to the insects. So obviously due to presence of pollen kits, they can adhere with the outer body surface of the insect. Flowers are having odor also, as well as they are containing edible pollen grain, and that is also for attracting the insects. Next, pollen grains are heavier and sticky. Keep it in your mind, pollen grains are all heavier and sticky because the pollen grains are getting transmitted by the help of insects. So for that reason they can be heavier and sticky. Why? I have already told, due to presence of pollen kit. Pollination is highly specific and directional. Always keep it in your mind, pollination is highly specific. Why? Because by the insects only the pollen grain will be getting transferred from the one flower to the another flower, obviously to the another plant. And this specific pollination is always directional. Why directional? Because in which direction the pollen grain will be transmitted by the help of insect, that is always constant. Constant means I am just trying to say you that the insects are taking the pollen grain, and after that they will be going towards any kind of orchid or any kind of flower garden, and that is constant. So for that reason always it can be told as the pollination is directional. Okay. In this slide you can see that one specific flower is getting pollinated by the help of butterfly. Obviously it is an insect. So some examples are also given here. One is rose, second one is jasmine, third one is salvia, fourth one is bougainvillea, fifth lotus, sixth cestrum, and then sunflower. So these are the examples of the flowers which are commonly get pollinated by the help of insects. Okay. So these are all insect pollinated flowers or entomophilous flowers. So let's go for the next slide. In the next slide, we will be discussing about Cheiropterophilus flower features. Already I have told these are the flowers which are get pollinated by the help of Cheiroptera, that means bat. So obviously this kind of flowers are called as Cheiropterophilus flower, and this kind of pollination type is known as Cheiropterophyli. In general, keep it in your mind, flowers that use this kind of approach tend to be white or dull in color, because these kind of flowers which are Cheiropterophilus, mostly they are blossoming during the night time, and obviously their color is not attracting the bat. So for that reason, if they are white color, if they are dull in color, there is no problem. Open at the night, already I have told they are blossoming during the night time, because the bats are only available in the night time. They are actually roaming here and there during the night. Rich with nectar, obviously those flowers should be containing a huge quantity of nectar, so that the bats can eat that nectar and accidentally the pollen grain can get transferred by them. Rotten smelling, this specific type of flower are releasing such kind of odorant molecules or such kind of smell which is rotten smell. Okay, so for that reason, obviously by the help of rotten smell, the bats are getting attracted more. So for that reason, for attracting that kind of smell is also released by the flower. Flowers are larger in size. Obviously if the flowers are larger in size, maybe it is dull in color or white also, then also the bats can properly distinguish those flowers in the plants. So for that reason, these are actually larger in size. Commonly these flowers are present in fruit containing plants. This is another more important thing. These kind of flowers which are get pollinated by the help of bat, obviously they are present in the fruit containing plant. Why? Because those specific plants who are containing the fruits, in those plants actually commonly the bats are going, and when the bats are going for eating the fruit, automatically or accidentally, you can say, those pollen grains of the flowers are getting adhered with the body surface of the bat, and then it will be get transferred to another flower. Bat doesn't know about that. So this is actually the characteristic feature of the Cheiropterophilus flower, or you can say rather in case of the pollination of Cheiropterophyli. So this is the figure you can see here. These are some examples of the plants: Adansonia, Kigelia, Bovinia, Anthocephalus. These are the examples of some of the flowers or plants which are get pollinated by the help of bat. So these are all Cheiropterophilus flower example. Going for the next, that is Malacophilus flower or Malacophyli flower. So always we know these are the flowers which are commonly pollinated by the help of Malacos or mollusk organism, or rather by the help of snails, slugs, this kind of organisms. Here the flowers can be colorful or colorless, because obviously for attracting the Malacos or mollusk organism, color is not necessary. Okay, so color can be present, color can be absent also. Flower should contain nectar or edible pollen grain. This is must, because if the nectar as well as edible pollen grain will not be there, obviously the mollusk organisms will not go to the flower. Pollens have to be produced in large quantity. That is another very important thing. If the pollens will not be getting produced in large quantity, obviously during the time of pollination by the help of mollusk organism, a huge quantity of pollen grains will be getting dispersed here and there, and like that process it will be just destroyed also. So after this kind of during this kind of pollination process, obviously a huge quantity, a plenty quantity of pollen grain has to be produced. That means after dispersal of the pollen grain here and there, also a limited quantity or the minimum quantity of the pollen grain can reach to the proper destination. Pollens should be light in wet. Obviously when they will be get carried by the mollusk organisms, obviously they should be light in wet. Pollens have to be waterproof so that they will not get destroyed by the water, because mostly this kind of flowers which are get pollinated by the mollusk organisms, they are present in water, or maybe they are present nearby of the water source. So obviously they should be waterproof. Their body, those pollen grain will be covered by the waxy layer so that it will not be get destroyed by the help of water. Sometimes pollen should contain the sticky fluid so that it can adhere with the surface of mollusk organisms, like the pollen kit. So on the surface of exine there are some specific sticky secretions can be found. Those are commonly known as pollen kit, and due to presence of that pollen kit, these kind of flowers can adhere with the surface of the mollusk organism, like the pollen grains of the flower which are pollinated by the help of entomophilus, that means obviously pollinated by the insects, like them it can be found. So this is the overall features of the Malacophilous flower, and the pollination is known as Malacophily. Coming to the figure, here you can see this is the snail, and it has actually come to a purple colored flower, and this flower pollination is commonly happening by this specific mollusk organism. Example, you can see Chrysanthemum, Lemna. These are the plants which are commonly get pollinated by the help of mollusk organisms. Going for the next slide, in the next slide we can all see that is the flower where we will those are pollinated by the help of the ornitho, that means birds. So these flowers are known as ornithophilous flower, and the process of pollination is known as ornithophily. So here the flowers are large and beautifully colored. Why? Because if the flower size is not large, obviously it can't attract the birds who are actually flying from high, as well as it is beautifully colored also for attracting the birds. They produce mucilaginous nectar, that means the nectars which are actually produced, those are mucus containing. Why? Because when the birds are actually coming to the flower for eating the nectar or for any other purpose, on that time those specific nectars are actually mucus containing, and it is getting attached to the beak of the birds. Okay. Flowers are generally scentless. Obviously the flower shouldn't have any kind of odor or scent, because odor or scent is not required for attracting the birds. Some flowers may have edible parts also. Some of the flowers containing plants, they have edible part, that means fruit also, and for the attraction of the fruit only the birds are coming to those plants, and obviously the flowers are get pollinated by the help of these birds. The pollen grains are sticky. Already I have told pollen grains are also sticky like the Entomophilous flower or Malacophilous flower. Flower produces thick and fleshy floral part. Those floral parts are actually found in case of Ornithophilous flower. Those floral parts are all thick and fleshy, so that the birds, when they are actually consuming the cell sap from the flower, on that time those mucilaginous nectar also it will be going inside their body, as well as those specific mucilaginous nectars are also getting associated with their beak, and that is happening accidentally, the birds actually not knowing about this manner. So this is overall the Ornithophilous flower and the type of pollination, that is ornithophily. Here you can see the examples of the flowers which are getting pollinated by the help of birds: Aquilegia, Fuchsia, Ribes, Crimson Bottlebrush, Bastard Teak. These are the plants which are commonly get pollinated by the help of birds. Okay, so here in this figure you can see the example of the hummingbird. This is the bird which also helps in the pollination process. So this is overall the types of flowers based on the different pollinating agent, and obviously the biotic pollinating agent. Based on that we have differentiated the flower. Now we are just moving for the next topic, and the next topic in our syllabus, that is outbreeding devices. First of all, we have to know what is outbreeding devices. Outbreeding devices are some mechanisms or tools which are followed and adapted by the plants in order to prevent the self-pollination as well as to facilitate the cross-pollination. So very clearly I am just telling you, whatever the outbreeding devices are, outbreeding devices can be some mechanisms, some specific kind of procedures, or maybe it can be some tools by using which we can prevent the self-pollination in between flowers, and we can facilitate or we can enhance the chances of cross-pollination in the flowers. So this kind of devices or mechanisms or tools are commonly, we have given the names, those are known as outbreeding devices. So let's see why we will be using these outbreeding devices in case of pollination process. Obviously, majority of the flowering plants produces hermaphrodite flower, that is bisexual flower, and pollen grains are more likely to come in contact with the stigma of the same flower. That is commonly happening in case of self-pollination, because bisexual flower has that chance to perform the self-pollination. But there is a problem. Continued self-pollination results in inbreeding depression. That means if for the continuous self-pollination it will happen for 4 to 6 generations, it will be found that whatever the new plants are originating or whatever the new plants are taking birth, there is no such new features are actually coming, because only the reproduction is happening in same kind of genetic material. Because always when the pollination is restricted within the same flower and pollen grain of the anther is getting transferred to the stigma of the same flower. That means pollen grain and that stigma, and within the stigma, within the ovary, egg, polar nuclei, these are all containing same kind of genetic material. So after performing the double fertilization also, whatever the type of plants are originating, those are all containing same kind of genetic information. And if this kind of same genetic information will be carried forward in the generation after generation, what can be found, that after a certain time that plant may be losing its fertility. Maybe the plant products or the crops we are obtaining from that plant, those will be get reduced generation after generation. So these are actually called as inbreeding depression, because that breeding is happening always within the same flower. That's why it can be called as inbreeding. And due to this inbreeding, or due to this kind of self pollination, the depression has been found in various kind of features. So for that reason, so flowering plants develop many kind of devices to encourage the cross pollination and to discourage the self pollination. So resisting the inbreeding depression, the flowering plants have developed many kind of devices, or we are also helping those flowering plants to perform, to encourage the cross pollination, so that various kind of features can arise in the new plants or the next generation plants instead of the same features. And obviously for that reason, the self pollination process is also get discouraged also. So this is actually the overall requirement of the outbreeding devices, where we can encourage cross pollination so that same kind of features will not be repeated generation after generation, and new features can come, and that can be only possible if we will perform the cross pollination. Going for the next slide. Here you can see about some of the types of outbreeding devices. So let's see whatever the type of outbreeding devices are shown here. First one, it is written that dichogamy, that is the first feature, that is a proandrous and progynous condition. What is that? If the male part develops first in case of any of the flower, then it is known as protrandrous flower, and if the female part develops first in case of any of the flower, then it is known as progynous condition. That means dichogamy is a such kind of condition where either male part or female part it will develop first. If the male part will develop first, then it is known as protrandrous condition, and if the female part will develop first, then it is known as progynous condition. So when the male and female parts are not developing in the same time, obviously there is no chance of self pollination. Obviously that flower is bound to perform the cross pollination, okay, and obviously they have to wait for the another flower. Different localization of the anther and stigma, this is another most important thing. If the anther and stigma, they are not present in very close manner, they are located distantly in the same flower only, on that time obviously if the flower wants also to perform the self pollination, it is not possible for that flower to perform, because due to presence of the anther and stigma in a distant location. So obviously they have to go for the cross pollination without any way. Emasculation, that is the next flower where the human interference is needed. Suppose we are taking any bisexual or hermaphrodite flower, and from that hermaphrodite or bisexual flower we are removing the male part, that is the androecium part will be removed. That is commonly known as emasculation. So if we will start emasculating bisexual flowers like this way, automatically after a certain time it will be found that no bisexual flower can perform the self pollination, because they are getting unisexual by removal of the male parts from them. So automatically they are bound to perform the cross pollination. They have to wait for the another flower of another plant, okay. So obviously emasculation is also encouraging the cross pollination, not the self pollination. In the next, you can see here that is self incompatibility. What is the self incompatibility? Self incompatibility is the thing where pollen of same or different flower is not accepted by the stigma due to the different genetic makeup of pollen grain. Here one more thing I want to say, that suppose same flower, the pollen grain and the stigma, or rather the ovary portion, most of the time we know they are containing same kind of genetic makeup, but sometimes it is also found that maybe the two different flowers of the same plant, on that time it is found that the pollen grain of one flower is containing one kind of genetic makeup, but the female part of the another flower of the same plant is having another kind of genetic makeup. So due to the presence of the another kind of genetic makeup, most of the time what is found that the pollination, self pollination cannot happen, okay, due to the difference of the genetic makeup. And when the self pollination will not take place, automatically that flower is waiting for performing the cross pollination, because the genetic makeup in between the pollen grain or the as well as the genetic makeup of the ovary or the egg or polar nuclei, they are not matching. Maybe they are the part of same plant, maybe they are present in the same flower, maybe they are present in the different flower of the same plant, but their genetic makeup is not matching with each other, and this phenomenon, this event is known as self incompatibility. And obviously when the self incompatibility can be found, obviously the flower has to go for the cross pollination. Harcogamy, what is that? This is a name given to a condition where there is a natural physical barrier that prevents the pollen of the same flower from entering into the ovary. The harcogamy is also a natural barrier, and this is obviously a physical barrier which can be found in between the androecium and gynoecium, so that from the anther the pollen grain can't reach to the stigma of the female part, and it is always happening in the same flower. So automatically harcogamy is resisting the self pollination and encouraging the cross pollination. Self sterility, in this condition there is a gene that recognizes the similar gene and does not allow the pollen grain to germinate. This is due to the self sterile gene present in the ovule and the grain. Keep it in your mind. Self sterility is another example where you can see that the genes which are present within the pollen grain and the gene which is present within the ovule, those are same, but those genes are self sterile genes. So automatically when those genes are self sterile genes, that means automatically that either the pollen grain or the ovule they are getting sterile. So if the pollen grain or the ovule will get sterile automatically due to the presence of self sterile gene, then self pollination cannot flower within the self flower. So automatically the male part or the female part has to wait for the another flower so that the pollination can happen with that flower. So this is overall the concept of the self sterility. So in these two slides, whatever the point we have covered which are actually helping in the cross pollination, not self pollination. First one is dichogamy. Within that proandrous and progynous condition is there. Second one is different localization of anther and stigma. Third is emasculation, that is the removal of the male part. Fourth is self incompatibility, that is also very much important, because when the genetic makeup is not similar, obviously they are incompatible for each other, pollen grain and the ovule portion or ovary portion, then obviously they have to go for cross pollination, or they have to choose for cross pollination pathway. Harcogamy, there is a natural physical barrier is present in between pollen grain of anther and the stigma of female part, so automatically the pollination, self pollination cannot take place. And self sterility means either the pollen grain or the ovule or ovary, they will sterile itself due to presence of a self sterile gene. So when it will sterile itself, for resisting the self pollination, obviously the plant has to prepare for the cross pollination. So up to this slide we have completed in this video. I think these types of pollinating agents based on various kind of flowers as well as outbreeding devices you have understood in a proper manner, as well as I think you enjoyed this video a lot. So thank you everyone.